the more you know, out of shape, not good looking you are, the better your game is. Because if you're still able to seduce women that way. Because if so, I might have to say, I probably have the weakest game in here. You know what I'm saying? I'm just playing with you guys. Um,
Hmm.
but it's
You're
yeah,
saying
I
you're
love
more handsome than me? How could you?
talking.
Makes
No,
no
no,
bro.
but
sense at all.
no,
I
but
actually was gonna
yeah.
say like that's one of the so my weakness like as a coach or whatever is that I'm tall. I'm 6'6". I've like played college basketball
Oh,
and stuff.
what the fuck?
Um
Six
Damn,
yeah,
six
six.
six. I didn't know you were
yeah.
that tall.
So
I knew you're tall.
But
you're taller than me. Normally
I
I'm
know,
the tall
but
guy in the
His
fucking
opinion
room.
is invalid.
so that's my
There's
weakness, okay? But I will say the amount of guys that have reached out to me and bought my coaching because I'm like a pale, balding, average looking guy is it's pretty wild. Like I think it actually does kind of like almost on the business side kind of helps me to like that's why I'm probably not gonna won't be getting a hair transplant or anything, bro. Like I'm keeping this because
Getting the
it's
money.
like you
That's
want
the
to
man way.
yeah, it's like proving that it like works. Because like you want to have, I think having those disadvantages, I think is important. And
Yeah,
you can
let's
even kind
break
of
your
use it
legs
to
and
your
give you a
advantage.
wheelchair too.
Hey, bro, I'll do the Austin Summers wheelchair game, bro.
you,
I'll
you
do
gotta
it.
get
Actually,
the entry height game.
So what I found is like, all right, this is kind of so me and Avery, we were the guys who honestly I didn't give a fuck about working out. I didn't give a fuck about being in shape because I found that the more I'd go out, the more that I would socialize, the more that I would just be out and about, the more I would get charismatic, the more funnier and freer I get, the more in a good headspace I get. And actually it got so bad to where so I was shit. I think I was so I had a date every day of the week. I was probably taking about 5, 6 girls home a week, and I shot a. This is actually how I found out I was fat. The girls weren't telling me, so I shot a video with the girl from the side, and I look at it, and my stomach is literally on her forehead. In my head, I thought I was the sexiest motherfucker, and then I see the video, I'm like, fuck. It's not really that big a deal as long as you're cool and confident. Like girls really don't give a fuck. Actually, if you have like disadvantages when you're just really really confident, um, they'll almost backwards rationalize those things as good things. They'll give you the dad bod conversation, or they'll say like, I don't know. You guys probably felt this too. I found that me being in a great headspace has always mattered more than if I had a six pack or not. I've actually had worse game at times when I had a six pack or when I had a flat stomach. I
Damn.
don't know if you guys experienced the same thing, but
Yeah.
it's happened a lot that way with me and a lot of my clients.
So
I
Denton,
agree.
I see what you're saying now. I'm not gonna lie, you make a really good point here. You're basically saying at the beginning of game, it's kind of like it's varied too. You're increasing. It's hard to put it into words, but it's varied into how well you get into game. The better you get, the harder it gets for you as a person. Because so let's say in the beginning, you don't know much about game. You're a bit out of shape, a bit of all this, but ignorance is bliss. So your confidence is through the roof. And women will actually use that to your benefit. They won't. Oh, this guy's fat, but he's confident. I really like it. It keeps them secure. But as you get deeper into game, obviously your leg count goes up. You get more confident. You get into shape. You get more whatever. Um, Women actually start using that against you. They're like, "Oh, you're a fuck boy. Oh, you probably get older women. Look at you. You're in shape. You're so good looking. Whatever." And it actually creates a deep sense of insecurity. So, with that being said, as game progresses, as you get deeper down this funnel and better your own self, they will find a way to use that against you, and it will become a little harder.
Oh no, I think I'm just
I
straight
don't.
up gaslighting girls. I think that like I'm just so fucking like eerily confident in myself and so relaxed in a conversation that I think I'm gaslighting them. So the girl's like, you're not my type. I'm like, you're not into sexy white boys. I like, I think it's just like this
Frame.
merry-go-round of just dumb confidence. So like we can all agree like the dumbest guys in the world are really good with women, right? I think a part of that has to do with the Dunning-Kruger effect. You don't know shit, so you think you understand everything. So then those guys, through being so stupid, think that like are just like blearily confident because they know nothing about the real world. They know nothing about skills or developing themselves or becoming something better. Obviously, those guys in their 30s start fucking suffering. But in their 20s, oftentimes they're pretty fucking on point. They're pretty good with girls for a period of time. Like you guys have probably seen this. I have to tell a lot of my very smart clients to be dumb. Like I'm like, no, tonight be a frat boy, be stupid, turn your fucking shit off, stop overthinking. I find that like it's like the girl's not gonna believe you unless you believe in yourself, and it's actually to a step further than that. A girl might not believe in you, but you believe in yourself so much, you're giving off like the Kanye West effect that the girl will actually almost change her mind and decide that you're actually sexy all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing I want to say to that is I really agree. And I've this is one of the biggest things I think is a big misconception about game, which I think is a great thing for all of us to talk about. I think biggest one of the biggest misconceptions is that you have to have looks or status or money, right? And a lot of guys, all of the people we've tried to have as clients, you'll always hear someone say, "Yeah, I'm not focused on women right now. I'm trying to just get rich. Yeah, I'm not focused on women. I'm trying to get a six pack first, right? I'm locked in." And a lot of guys do shit like this. And or to take it to the extreme, we have the black pill community, which for those who don't know, those are people who essentially think looks is all that matters. And if you don't have amazing looks, you have 0% chance of women. These are all just very, very false, very, very false things. And we all of us here seem like we all pulled girls plenty when we didn't look this good as we look now, right? Now, what I want to say is what I believe to be the number one thing that pulls women is your confidence, right? Your confidence is everything. And some guys use different words, right? You say like being yourself, being comfortable with yourself. That's one way to say what confidence is, right? It's comfortable with yourself. Now, what I would say is this is where guys don't understand how to practically understand confidence. I think that's the really the big problem with game theory is that a lot of guys will just tell you, hey, here's a bunch of mindset. Like just be this guy. You're gonna be the strongest guy in the room. Do this, do this. Go inside, talk to her, just act like you're confident. And it's hard for the guy who's not confident to do that. So the way I break down confidence is that confidence essentially is shown through your nonverbal communication and your behaviors, right? Your eye contact, your smiling, your hand movements, your voice. This is how you show confidence, your posture. That's the biggest thing. And I teach a lot of my guys nonverbal communication, what's high status communication. And I just think that's one of the things guys don't talk enough about is nonverbal communication.
I'm
Yeah.
about to say some really big stuff right here, and this is probably going to be a clip that I'm going to use in the future. But putting you guys on game, whether you guys know it or not, and I said game, and Tim got a little excited, from all the video games you've been playing. But anyways, so the idea of confidence, and I agree with Sergio on that completely. Now, how do you get confidence? Because confidence can really come and go. People drink a little bit of alcohol. You got some confidence, liquid courage, right? How do you get confidence immediately? Two things. Either you increase your mindset, benefit your mindset, get that confidence right away, boom. Or instead of inner, you look at the outer, you look at the girl, you look at who you're gonna approach. Now, you guys have all of you guys have been in this situation before. I know this without a doubt, where you've probably heard about a girl. Oh yeah, that girl, yeah, she gets with everybody. Oh yeah, that girl's easy. I bet when you heard that, your confidence probably spiked up a little bit too. You're like, oh yeah, she's easy. Hold on, she gets with everybody like that. Like, it's because nothing happened internally. It's more like, oh, externally, for a fact, this girl is very sexual. This girl goes around and comes around really easily. Yeah, so just confidence internally and externally. Just look at the outside. Women are going to be attracted to you regardless. Feminine energy goes to masculine, and then and yourself, you're that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. What I want to say how I would teach someone confidence, I think it's two things. It's either you can work on yourself. This will always make you more confident. Wake up on time, go to the gym, eat healthy, meditate, read, remove your bad habits, don't scroll all the time. Overall, what that's going to do is lower your actual fight or flight response, like reactivity to things. Literally lower your cortisol, your stress, and raise your calmness as a human being, right? Now that's obvious, but here's the thing. You're gonna see guys who do these self-improvement things, but they're still scared shitless to approach a girl. You're gonna see a lot of guys like that. So it's not just that. It's not just to work on yourself and become rich and become this and become that. That's one thing. The other thing is what I primarily focus on in my program. It's action. Action is how you become confident. You become confident through experiences. The more you have the experiences, the less your nervous system is spiking from it because it's not as novel anymore and your brain knows what's going to happen. The more you have the experiences, the more you get rejected, the more you go on dates, the more you approach on a consistent basis, which is extremely important, is what gets you to be extremely confident. That's why all of us are very confident. That's the number one thing. And to me, that's like one of the biggest lessons I want to teach anybody who's watching this is that you need to take action consistently and you need to work on yourself as well. These two things on a long period of time, you will become confident.
Yeah, I think to add on to that, a lot of guys focus on with confidence that th when I used to envision guys that are confident, I would think of a guy that he's confident because he knows he's going to get the girl. He's confident because he knows things are going to go a certain way and he sees it before it happens. But I feel like confidence is comes a lot more from, like Sergio was saying, taking action. And that taking action leads you to believe that no matter what happens, I will be okay. Like, I will be fine. Confidence is not, I know what's going to happen. It's like, whatever the fuck could happen to me, I'll be okay. I'll be fine. Like, I could lose my house. Everything could fall apart. I'll be all right. I'll figure it out. Like, I'll just be okay. And it's like that trust in yourself that, like, makes you carry yourself that way. And then when you have that mindset combined with actions, then you tie that into physically, what does confidence actually look like? Like, that guy, guy that's confident, he speaks slowly. He's calm, he's relaxed, makes eye contact, has open body language, takes up space, he squares up to the girl, like those types of things.
Right. And those things will happen naturally when you become more confident. That's one. But two, you can also reverse engineer it and ask
Yeah.
yourself, like when you're in approach with when a client approaches a girl, you guys must have seen this, a client's doing his first day game approach. The number one thing a client will usually do wrong is he speaks too fast. Usually. Why? Because he's nervous. His nervous system is riled up. If I told the guy, hey, be more confident, it wouldn't work. But if I told him, hey, next approach, try your best to speak slower, speak slower, speak slower. And I also tell my clients to take deep breaths while they're out and approaching. And then he's going to speak slower and he's going to get a better reaction. I'm going to tell him, hey, you saw how she reacted better? He's going to be like, oh yeah, you're right, she did. And it teaches him what does confidence look like. The more he can quote unquote fake being confident, the more he's going to get the right experiences, which will get him more and more confident. And over time, it's like this positive feedback loop, right? So I think you have to understand what confidence looks like. You have to understand how to get it. And you're absolutely right about this idea that it's about not being afraid of the outcome, not necessarily knowing you're going to succeed. It's more like, or in a way, it is knowing you're going to succeed because from your frame of mind, succeed to win is to just either gain experience and knowledge and learn from it or to get the girl or to get the date or to get the whatever the hell the thing is. Once you have a mindset that no matter what I do, as long as I take action, I'm succeeding, then nothing should fear you, right? And I tell guys that all the time. Final thing I want to say, and I just want to drop as much value as possible. Final thing I want to say is, in my opinion, the number one action that will get you the most confident is the one that scares you the most. So the game of how to get as quickly as confident as possible is to ask yourself really genuinely, what scares me the most? And then you do that thing, and then you do the thing right below it, and you just keep going. And sometimes the thing that scares you the most is so scary, so you just got to go a little bit down the list. And for most guys, approaching is what scares them the most. And that's why I've realized pickup is such a great way to build self-confidence.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's huge. Like the one mindset that I would always tell myself, this was just like a rule I had for myself when I was working on this was I actually got it from Max with RSD like way back in the day, like 2016. And one of the things that he said in a video was, if I feel resistance, I have to do it.
Uh-huh.
And that goes for anything. It doesn't even have to be talking to girls. Like I've had times where I'm feeling super depressed and like I'm so depressed I don't want to get out of bed and like go to the bathroom or something. I just want to sit there and watch TV. I'm stuck. I feel stuck. If I feel resistance to that, the best way to get myself out of that is like, okay, well, I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Or like I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna make myself a meal. Or I'm feeling a lot of resistance to even going and leaving the house and like I gotta go renew my registration on my car or something. I'm gonna go do that. And then I would feel good after because I had resistance to something. And then eventually that does actually feed into like actually approaching or actually talking to people. One thing that I think is super underrated when you're getting into starting to approach and you have that resistance is if you feel resistance at all, even if it's something that like doesn't directly lead to an approach, it's actually still good, even if it's not affecting like the outside world. So one thing that I have had guys do, this is more of a recent thing that I realized works really well, is if you have a guy that's super self-conscious, like they feel like it's so weird to even say good morning to someone. They're like, that's so fucking weird. have them walk past people, and then after they pass them, they like mumble under their breath, "Good morning." Like after. So like there's no way the person even hears it at all. But it's like the action of I feel resistance to even saying hi. Have them do that like 3 or 4 times, and then they'll be able to quietly say it when they're like in front of the person. And then they'll be able to speak a little louder. And you just build it up to where like, I mean, in 30 minutes, you could have a guy that's like never said hi to a stranger in his entire life, like opening and giving compliments and like actually starting to like progress up that ladder. I found that that's like really like powerful. Any sort of resistance that you can push through, even if it's not related to like game or women or talking to girls, like any resistance that you can push through, I think is good because it starts to stack some momentum.
And to add on to what Tim was saying, yeah, every action you do is going to contribute to you heading towards a certain direction. Now, it's up to you to decide whether that action contributes to you being more of a net negative, net positive, whatever it is. You deciding to have let's just keep it technical. Keep it game to be easier to compare. Yeah, you not taking the approach, well, that adds 1% to you towards being not the approach guy, not the guy that's going out of his way to talk to people, not the social butterfly. You saying having a short 5 second conversation with the cashier as she's checking you out, like checking you out the store, taking the cash and all that. That's you moving 1% closer to being the social guy. Um, so it's just up to you. Little things like that every day have a huge compound effect.
Yeah. One thing actually, I want to go back to what we were talking about earlier with like the disadvantages thing. I just want to like inject something about that. So I think when you have a disadvantage, like being short or like being like a big one is like a lot of my clients are Indian. It's like 30% of my clients or something. And the biggest thing is like, oh, girls don't like brown guys or whatever. Or I have an accent and like that's an issue and like it gets in the way. And one thing that I have to say about a lot of this stuff is when it's kind of adding on to what Denton says. When you go up to a girl and you act and you have the behaviors, not acting like you're faking it, but you have the behaviors of somebody that is really confident in himself, where it's like, I'm the shit and I'm acting like I'm the shit, and that as how I'm being perceived. But you have these obvious, like quote unquote, obvious like flaws about you or whatever that puzzle piece that she sees of who you are as a person, women are always like extrapolating what they see in front of them into what's it going to look like in the future. They're always like building a bigger picture. And so you can think about it like they're taking this very small image and they're expanding it into this big image of who they think you are. So if you go up and you start talking to her and you're very, very confident and you're passing shit tests and everything, and you're short, she's gonna be like, who the fuck is this guy? There must be something crazy about this guy. Like this guy must be fucking awesome if he's this confident and he's short. Or if he's this confident and he's talking like he's doing IT in Bangladesh, like you have this crazy thick accent. Like, how is he so confident with this? And it's like, well, that's because you're painting this huge picture of in her head, the story that she tells herself about you with like the pieces that you're like feeding her that she picks up on through talking to you through like genuine, authentic, and like confident communication. That's gonna be so much more attractive than you actually like listing out all the value that you have. It's gonna be so much better.
You know
Yeah,
what's actually really
yeah.
funny about sorry, Sergey, do you want to go? I'll say something after.
No, I talk a lot. You go. You go. Okay, fine. I'll go. So really quickly about insecurities, because I think that's what a lot of guys watching this probably have, right? Really, the reason you're on this video is probably because you're insecure about something. If you weren't insecure, you wouldn't struggle with women. That's honestly a big belief I have. Now, the idea of insecurity is to understand that the problem is not your insecurity itself, is the problem is that you just are insecure about the thing. Because even if you're short or if you're Indian, I can point, hey, that there's an Indian that's confident, this guy. There's a short guy that's confident, me, right? There's a version of Tim's balding. He doesn't give a fuck, but then there's an actual bald guy that gives such a fuck. The guy who gives a fuck, the guy who cares so much about how others perceive him and he's insecure about blank, he will never win against the guy who, even though he has something, he's not insecure about it, right? So it's about the fact that you're insecure. That's the problem, not the thing itself. Now, with that being said, whatever the thing is that you're insecure about, if you can fix it, fix it. If you can't, you accept it. It's that simple. And then the next point is also to realize and ask yourself, have I actually maxed myself out in every other way but my insecurity yet? If you haven't, then don't assume that you can't get results a different way, right? So if you're short, okay, but have you went to the gym, got better grooming, learned game? Have you done these things? Have you got better fashion? Have you tried approaching consistently? If the answer is no, then stop bitching about your shortness. You're not getting results because you're not taking action, because you're not actually trying to be the most confident, high value version of yourself. If you're bald, go ahead and fix it in Turkey. You don't have the money? Okay, work harder. You don't want to work? Okay. Work on your confidence, your game, your fashion, your this, your that, and watch how you'll still get results. The Rock gets women. I get women. I'm short, right? There's an example for everything. I'm sure there's plenty of Indian men in the world who get women, and even though they're Indian. And I don't even think the girl thinks, oh, even though he's short, he's confident, so that must mean this. I think she's just not even thinking about it. She's not even thinking about it. Because if you're not even thinking about it, the girl's not even thinking about it. If it's not a problem in your reality, it's not a problem in her reality. Because if you have a strong frame and she can feel that frame, she's going to fall into it. And that's what game is I have a frame. I'm coming to you with a frame, and you're going to fall into it because I have good game. To say you have good game means you have great frame control. That's all it is. So if I'm short, but I act, behave, talk, the behaviors I do, everything I do is aligned with the guy who's attractive and deserves you, whatever girl I'm speaking with, then she's just going to fall into that if my game is good enough. That's all it is. It's conviction. Really important. Just had to say that.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's so I imagine for all of us that kind of pisses us off. That pisses me off because I used to have, when I was younger, I had so many fucking excuses. Like I thought my nose was too big. I thought I had wide hips. I thought my ears were crazy.
You think your nose is too big?
Well, I'm like partially Jewish, so I was like really insecure about that. But yeah, like all right, so I remember this time when I flew out to New York to go work with this guy, which he might even like. Yeah, I thought that he comes to me and he's like, I think it's because I'm Asian and it's not really working out. I've had this happen a lot. I've had this happen dozens of times. Then I meet up with the client in person, speaking too fast, jittery, can't hold eye contact, speaking a million miles an hour. And it's like, dude, try working on these things first before you make the excuse of your height or your race being the problem. Like a lot of you guys are getting caught in the weeds with shit that doesn't matter, and you guys are hurting your fucking results when you guys should be focusing on that which you have control over, not that which you don't. Anybody's ever been successful in any field will tell you focus on that which you have control over. I'm not going to give a fuck about like tariffs or something like that if I can't change it. I'm not going to care about the fact that, I'm like, I don't know. Like you got to focus on shit that you have control over. And I think that's something that a lot of guys really, you guys like focus so much on the shit that you don't have control over. You guys completely are blind to the things you do have control over, which is so much shit. There's so much shit you guys can do to change your results. And you guys are just like blind to it because you guys are trying to put on the blinders. Like for me personally, when I first started in this, and this is actually going to probably be the same thing for a lot of you guys who are new to this. There's different plateaus to getting good at this and to improving. And one of the first ones is what I call the catch-22. So there's some naturals. We probably all have our natural friends, who are just fucking always been incredible with women. One of mine, his name is Ray, fucking unbelievably good with girls. Like I've never seen anything like this. This guy will like have a girl like telling him off and then like 2 minutes later making out with him. He'll steal like I've seen him steal girls off boyfriends. He's a little bit. I've worried about him at times in that regards, but he's crazy. But see, he had the dominoes fall in the right way his entire life, where it's like, my mom hugged me a lot. The girl that I approached on the playground kissed me, and like all the dominoes fell the right way. But for most of us, that's not how that went. For most of us, we got rejected at some point, and then now we don't believe in ourselves. And so the catch-22 is this: when you approach a girl, you have to act like Ray, you have to act like our natural friends without ever actually having the dominoes fall the right way. You're somebody that started off in this, like not believing he's sexy. Now you got to pretend and act like you're a guy who believes that he's sexy. You have to believe you're sexy before she believes you're sexy. And so actually something Sergio mentioned, taking actions over time. I think consistent actions, my very first form of proof in this, that my first like almost confidence boost was I was the only guy in my city that was going as hard at this. I was the only guy going out sober, approaching like 10 to 15 people a night. For 3 months, I got rejected. Like just straight up like eviscerated for 3 months. But at the end of those 3 months, I remember I was looking at myself in the mirror and I was about to cry. I was just fucking obliterated. I'm like, fuck that shit, dude. I'd put in so much unbelievable effort into this. I deserve to be confident. That was actually the big flip for me. I made out with two girls that night. It was like up to that point the most successful night I ever had. It was a big turning point for me. A lot of you guys just need to take consistent action over time. You guys need to stop focusing on like stupid fucking shit. It's about action. It's about straight up action over time. You'll develop the confidence. You'll find a way to get there. Stop catching yourself up in the weeds.
Yep, real
Uh,
shit. I think I hope this part right here that we just said is probably the most valuable thing for everyone to watch, I think, because it's the number
Catch
one problem
22.
with everyone. Yeah.
Catch 22. It's like I forgot how I was gonna word it, but it's like you have to prove to yourself that you're attractive first. And if just like I'm basically just describing what you already described, but you really just have to prove to yourself first that you're worth what you should deserve and that you're attractive and so on, which is kind of ironic because there are just guys stuck in that loop of where they do believe they're not attractive, so therefore they never do anything about it in the first place. So they fall into the trap of never getting past that catch 22, I suppose.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about that is the way I look at it is basically so many people are just so dominated by their own thinking, and essentially their past is creating this identity, and they're attached to this identity, right? Whether you were bullied or you were this or girls rejected you in the past, you're letting that determine who you are currently, and you're letting that determine your actions, and thus you're letting that make your future. And that's the biggest problem with guys with anything, literally with anything. However, when it comes to pickup, it is the number one problem by far. And I always tell guys, I'm like, hey, when a guy says something negative, like let's say he approaches a girl and then he comes back and he's like, yeah, she rejected me. The instant thing I'll tell him is like, hey, bro, like you're doing that negative self-talk again. And I'm just gonna try to get him to become aware, like, hey, you're doing the wrong thing. Now approach her, and instead, right after you approach her, say something positive. I want you to say one thing positive. That's your new mission. He'll approach a girl, he's gonna come out of it, he's gonna say one thing positive, and I'm gonna congratulate him, and he's gonna slowly realize that the only reason he's in the position he's in is because he has this negative mindset. He has this thing that's beating him down and trying to get him to stay his old self. And I think the biggest thing that guys need to understand when it comes to learning pickup and learning how to get better with women is the only thing that's in the way is you. And you need to just stop attaching yourself to your old thinking patterns and allow yourself to believe and have faith that there is a different way of thinking. And that's why it's important to have a coach, because that guy can basically offset his mindset, his principles, what he would think, what he would say in these moments. And over time, you become more and more like him. And then you start to see, oh shit, 8 weeks ago, I was here and now I'm here and I'm actually thinking more positively about these experiences. And then you have strong faith. And that's when you're past it to catch 22. You're past it once you have an experience that proves to you that you did grow, right? And then you just feel like, okay, I could just keep doing this for longer and longer. And I really relate to what Denton said about being the most action-taking person in the city. That's exactly who I was. When I was in San Francisco, I was taking so much action. I was going every day to the bars, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all the fucking time. And after a certain time, I remember I was like, dude, I'm doing something that no one else is doing, which means I'm going somewhere like positive with this. And I started to slowly realize I was going to become really big. That the moment I knew that my actions were just dramatically different than anybody else, it made me certain that my outcome and my result is going to be dramatically different than anybody else's.
Yeah. Dude, I think that's really important. And one thing that, just to touch on the self-talk thing, there is one person that you spend literally 100% of your time with. Like, think about the person person outside of yourself that you spend the most time with. It's maybe 20%, like your mom or your sister or your best friend or whatever. You spend 100% of the time with you in your own brain. Like, it's 100%. And we spend all the time thinking about this girl that I spent 0.5% of my time today, just today, talking to. And I'm never going to talk to her again. I care so much about her opinion and what she says about me rather than what I say about myself. And if you're spending 100% of the time with somebody, like imagine that every time, all the time you're walking around, there's someone following you around being like, ah, bro, you probably couldn't get that girl. Oh, dude, you're probably too short, man. It would take maybe 10 minutes for you to be like, dude, fuck off. Like, fuck you. Get the fuck away from me. It would not take any time. You'd be like, fuck this guy. And honestly, if a guy kept following you around, like, bro, you can't do it, you can't do it. I know for me, I'd be like, fuck you, I'm gonna go do it. And then you would go do that thing. And just to like spite that person, or like get back at them. And we don't think about ourselves like or our self-talk as like another person. But
Mhm.
I know for sure that for me, like there kind of are two parts of me. There's like the default kind of thoughts. Like I go to therapy and she'll like point something out, like, hey, I just noticed that you did this and this and that. I'm like, oh fuck. Like I didn't even realize that. There's like that part of you that's like subconscious kind of stuff you tell yourself and the image you have. And then there's like the thoughts of like, I want this, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to take action on this. But the thing that really controls you the most is like those 80% of thoughts that are just like underneath the surface. You don't even realize you're repeating them to yourself until you get them pointed out. So I think having someone on the outside to point that stuff out is super important.
Now, I did want to say, um, the confidence, the bravado, the good things that you do get anywhere in life, it always comes at a nice sacrifice, right? For anything, if you had to get knowledge, well, you had to sacrifice the time to study it and learn it, right? Now, I would say, for me specifically, because I'm only going to talk about myself, but I'm sure most of you guys could relate to this to a degree. We would all not be on this call or be to the level of degree of game that we have if we did not sacrifice some type of loss or some type of mental battle. For me, I spent the first leading up until 2021. I mean, the quarantine was really a big hitting thing. Um, you know, battled against like these like anxious, anxiety induced battles against my head. I would walk around the streets, see people that I would love to talk to, not go approach them at all, and then spend the next 5, 10 minutes thinking about them. Bro, they're already down the street, they're on the block, they're in the car. I'm still thinking about it. And it would just be back and forth again and again and again to the point where before you notice it, you spent the whole day worrying about what could have happened with interactions that didn't even happen. You know what I'm saying? And that's really what led me to take myself seriously, relating to Sergio in a sense that I took dramatic effects, big changes, and got to where I had to be. Going from living in Jersey to moving out to Miami, Florida, at the age of like 20, to teaching guys, hosting boot camps all over the world, being recognized in Europe and other continents. But that being said, if you haven't sacrificed something, if you haven't suffered a battle, you're not going to be interested in self development. If you haven't been bullied, if you haven't been, some type of battle, you wouldn't be where you are today.
Yeah, one thing I want to say on that is that everyone who's massively successful at pickup has had like some kind of either heartbreak story or feeling like insecure or like a social outsider or something. You feel like a lack of something. So a lot of people's pickup journey aligns with them just trying to overcompensate for their lack of self-worth that they had, right? And it's really interesting because, you know, Tim brings up therapy, right? Which is super interesting because I've actually been doing therapy recently. However, I didn't start doing therapy before pickup. And sometimes I ask myself, like, if I did therapy before pickup, would it have prevented me to have all that pain that I did have? And would it have prevented me to be this successful at pickup? And I actually think it might have prevented that. And that's why I think therapy is like this interesting subject where some guys say, yo, don't go to therapy. Some guys say go to therapy. I know that's not even the discussion we're trying to talk about, but I love how much overlap there is with the idea of like your self-worth, your trauma, and what you've been through in your life, and how much success you have, and how much overcompensation you try to do. And I find it just super interesting, man, because I was the guy that was rejected all the time. I was definitely bullied in high school a lot. I was an outsider throughout my whole life. I always kind of felt different than people. And I didn't even notice all of that was like traumatic experiences until I got older, until after this whole game thing. And it's funny. I'm like proud of the pain that I've been through. And I think a lot of guys, the only reason they're not where we're at, where they're not successful with women, is because either one or two things. They don't have enough pain. They don't. Or two, they don't blame themselves for what they've been through. It's one of those two. Either they're lying to themselves, like it's just because I'm short. It's just because of this. Or they don't have enough pain. And that's why everyone here has that one friend in high school or eighth grade, and he was really handsome and he had all the women, right? Back then. But now, where is he at? He doesn't have them, or he's not as successful as us. I know a lot of guys like that, and the way I tell myself why he's in the position he's in is because he just doesn't have enough pain. He just doesn't. And thus he never felt the need to overcompensate, and thus he never became aware of this thing that we call game and pickup and self-improvement.